Call to order the meeting of the Urban Renewal Authority. Roll call, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Commissioner Dennehy.
Here.
Grantham. Hamrick.
Here.
Maloney.
Here.
Reeser.
Here.
Schmischer.
Here.
Stein.
Here.
Tracy.
Here.
Troutman.
Here.
Worthington.
Here.
Chairman Payne.
Here. Thank you. Ask you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Next item on the agenda is citizens requesting to speak to the Urban Renewal Authority on items not on the agenda. I assume you're here for items on the agenda, okay? Move on to the consent agenda. The approval of minutes for March 5th, 2025, and cash disbursements. Ryan, you have anything?
I don't have anything to add than what's in your reports, and staff would recommend approving.
Okay, we do have the cash disbursements. Anybody have any questions or comments on those? Entertain a motion.
Chairman Payne, I move that we accept the agenda and minutes and receive and file the cash disbursements.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy.
Aye.
Hamrick.
Aye.
Maloney.
Aye.
Reeser.
Aye.
Schmischer.
Aye.
Stein.
Aye.
Tracy.
Aye.
Troutman.
Aye.
Worthington.
Aye.
Chairman Payne.
Aye, thank you. Move on to the financial report. Ask the treasurer for a report.
All right, since I wasn't in the February meeting, we'll start there. February beginning balance was $1,168,173.30. We had a $75 charge for Springbrook Holding, which is our software company, and the monthly loan repayment to the city, $5,421.62, which gives us February and March beginning, $1,162,676.68. In March, we had another loan repayment, $5,421.62. We got our TIF property tax money in from the county, $603,213.98. There was a regular deposit of $5,000. I'm not sure what that was. I did reach out to accounting and we haven't heard anything. Another $375 for Springbrook Holding, the software company, $950 for our legal firm Hoffman. Also January and February legal fees, $1,575. A TIF reimbursement to Holiday Inn Express for $4,201.60. And then we had the building systems grant to Edward Jones for $25,000. A facade grant to Edward Jones for $7,500. And then we had a refused by receiving reimbursement for the $950 for our legal firm. So that was a wash. And then a $2 ACH credit back fee. So March ending was a robust $1,726,815.44. That's it.
Thank you very much. Any questions and or comments? Okay, we'll move on. Move on to the executive director report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, commissioners. Last week, Rick, I, Commissioners Schmischer, Stein, and Worthington all attended the Downtown Colorado Inc. conference in Greeley. Downtown Colorado Inc., in addition to talking about downtowns and downtown development authorities, also heads up the Urban Renewal Authority, I guess, coalition. I don't know what you'd call it. So we spent a good week learning about what other urban renewals are doing, other programs that are out there. Made a really good contact with Colorado Enterprise Fund. Learned that the Colorado Enterprise Fund is running loan programs and partnering with urban renewals, at least one other urban renewal in the state. We're going to have some meetings with them next week to talk about what a partnership might look like. One of the things that they are doing to create these loan funds is the urban renewal will grant dollars to Colorado Enterprise Fund. Colorado Enterprise Fund will match those dollars dollar for dollar. So if you for instance, if you donated $250,000 to Colorado Enterprise Fund, they would create a loan fund of $500,000. So we're gonna do some exploration, see if that's something that we want to bring back to the board, and have some more discussions around that. From a development standpoint, continuing to work with the developers out at 4 Mile. I think there's a lot of things going on over there that's trying to get their ducks in a row. I know that they are looking at an additional urban renewal area out there at 4 Mile, so still working through the details of that. And then I think Rick has also been having some discussions with another developer over at the Love sites for some potential development and urban renewal tax increment financing for a project out there. Rick, did I miss anything? Anything else you want to chat about?
I had a meeting today with the hotel, with a hotel who's interested in a site right next to Love's Travel Plaza. They've expressed interest in the past. In fact, when I started this position, they came to visit us shortly after I started, and I think they came before that. So they've been looking at the community for a while, and they're in negotiations with Sun and Shine Group right now, who owns the property, and they are, like everybody, asking for tax increment financing. And we had a conversation today about how that all works, and they are very close to being ready to show the site to their investors, but they're not quite there yet. We need to work out some of the financial expectations, you could say, for tax increment before they can really hand it over to their investors at the moment. So that one is moving forward a lot quicker now. It stalled for a while with the negotiations with the property owner, but moving forward a lot quicker. And they came to visit us today, and I met with them and Rob Brown at FEDC about that project. Also working with the Abbey. The Abbey's looking at a number of different ideas for their site. We have a developer. I brought a developer in from Dallas to meet with them, who has a potential interest in helping develop the Abbey property into. Right now, it's still a little speculative what they're talking about, but the developer was very interested, very intrigued, and that we're also somewhat talking about tax increment. I'm sure it'll come up. But to what level, we don't know yet. We don't think that they're going to be looking at wanting to create an area out there because it's already in the existing area. But it really depends on how this all pans out financially and whether they can do something that's feasible or not. They still have to do a feasibility study, so they're not even close to knowing yet. But working probably almost every week on that project right now. So that one's moving along pretty well. And then Ryan mentioned the revolving loan fund. I had a conversation with Colorado Enterprise Fund probably 3 weeks ago about that. And the fact that they were at DCI was kind of serendipitous because then we had a lot of opportunity to talk about that some more. So there are other communities that are working with Colorado Enterprise Fund, and I think maybe 2 urban renewal authorities, but one for sure of that we know of. So it's a little new on the URA side. And I was part of a URA monthly meeting last month, and that came up as well. Other URAs are interested in as well. The nice thing about Colorado Enterprise Fund is that not only do they match the money, they also work as advisors for the businesses. So they don't just issue the money and then back off. They work with SBDC, SBA, and they get resources for these businesses. Even after they're done paying off their loan, they will work with the businesses to help them succeed, which is not anything that I expected to hear, but very, very valuable service that most lenders don't have the ability to do. So, and they come at it much more from a nonprofit perspective of we're here to help, we're not here to make a profit from you. So it's an interesting direction we're looking at, and we're going to meet with them, like Ryan said, next week.
Where does the Colorado Enterprise Fund get their funding from?
Most of their funding, I believe, comes through federal funding. I'm not certain about the mix.
They're a CDFI.
They're a CDFI, Community Development Investment Fund, and they also generate, of course, funds from their loan portfolio that they can then roll into other other loans. They also manage, and this is not really their funding, they also manage the new market tax credit process. And the Hotel St. Cloud has new market tax credits, so they became aware of our community through that project. Good connection, and they are now very interested in helping us in other directions too. They don't spend a lot of time, they hadn't spent a lot of time in rural communities, it was mostly urban, and they're branching out more into rural areas.
Well, that's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions for Rick? Okay, John?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm looking at this too simplistically, but maybe you could explain how this might work a little bit better so that I might understand it. But if we give them $1, they create a $2 loan fund that then we can borrow.
So we as the Urban Renewal would not be borrowing. They would be loaning it out to, we would have to set up parameters, but they would loan it out to businesses or building owners that reside within the Urban Renewal boundary. So we would have to set up all the parameters on what that looks like. But it takes us as an Urban Renewal out of the picking winners and losers type of decision-making process, and it has a third party that would be going through that process, checking financials, doing all the behind-the-scenes legwork for these loan funds.
Thank you
And
for that.
the way that their director explained it essentially is that they're able to assess what comes in, decide if this person is ready to actually receive a loan, or if maybe they should just be referred to the SBDC or the SBA kind of for more advice. So it sounds like they would have a great deal of technical expertise to determine kind of if a loan is appropriate and if it could be paid back, which I was really, really excited by his presentation and excited to hear that the city is already following up to learn more. Sorry,
And
that the
they're
Urban
not-
Renewal Authority Executive Director and cohort are following up.
And cohort. Cohort.
It's better than gang.
Yeah, yeah. The other side of the coin is that they're not a low interest loan. They're not the first in. They're charging about 10.6% interest on their loans. So they do work toward helping businesses get the best solution for their problem. So, they realize they're not the cheapest on the block, so.
But they're also, as Rick said, they're typically not the first one in either. So
Correct.
they, typically, you have to have or exhaust your traditional financing methods first before you would go to Colorado Enterprise Fund.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Amy?
Thanks. I was wondering if y'all had a sense of how the businesses on the west end of Main Street were doing with the construction, if they've seen impacts from that, if any of them have approached the URA about concerns regarding making rent or payroll, and just kind of what conversations are going on around that. Thanks.
I have not had any direct conversation with any of the businesses. Rick, you may have.
No, I've nobody's contacted me directly about anything like that. I've heard through the grapevine that there are some that are struggling, as you would pretty much expect during construction. But I don't know details about it. It was more rumblings through the grapevine.
Unfortunately, because of sales tax lags, we don't have enough data yet at this point to see what the sales tax impact is.
Would it make sense perhaps for the URA to reach out and see how things are going? I mean, we obviously are all looking forward to Main Street being completed, and I'm sure that they are as well, but that process can be really painful, and ensuring that we are able to retain all of the businesses that were there when it began, I think would be very beneficial to the URA.
Yeah, we can reach out.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else? So the fire lines that we helped out with, is that on schedule? And
Yeah, three of them are complete. Think about that. Yeah, 3 are complete. And then the next, of course, when we go to the next side of the street, those will be done.
okay,
But yeah,
oh yeah, because one
Yeah,
side of the
yeah,
street
you-
to the other,
yep.
right? Okay.
yeah.
All right, anybody have anything else? Okay, let's move on. Going with the building system grant application on 428 South Ninth Street.
Yeah, we have 2 grant applications that we're reviewing today. This isn't a big slide deck, don't worry about this. It's really just showing where the properties are. But I thought I would start off by reminding everybody where the area is. The building systems grant is allowed throughout the entire urban renewal area. Preference for historic structures. And the area we see in purple, the purple check, that's all of the urban renewal area. The only reason I want to point this out is because typically communities don't have an area like this. They have like an area that is a 25-year clock, and that's considered a project. We have a much larger area, so we end up with properties that have the potential of having properties that are kind of spread out. But it's always a good reminder to see what we have as an area. But our first one, we're looking at 428 South 9th Street. Chris Freeling is here to talk about that, answer any questions you might have on that property. Chris came to us last fall, later in the year. He had an interest in buying this building. We mentioned that at the time, the building system grant was fully utilized. We didn't have any funds left in it last year, and it would go into an application period at the beginning of the year. He did move in there, but he still has HVAC considerations for the building. This is what it was prior. It was actually kind of a cute little business. This business has now moved onto Main Street on the corner of First and Main. So upgraded to new space on Main Street, and this building became available. It's the building and the lot off to the left of it that Chris is interested in acquiring, and he has moved his insurance office in there. And he is here to answer any questions you might have. His application was total of $12,300. He qualifies for $9,150 in building systems grant to help with the HVAC system. So asking your approval for that one.
Okay, anybody have any questions or comments? So the request is for $9,150, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion. We'll make this quick.
Actually, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure, just given that we're considering 3 different applications, there's plenty of funding in the building systems grant to fund all 3?
Yes.
And how much will be left at the end if all 3 are funded?
We will have $34,000 left.
Okay, thank you.
34,000 is what you
Mhm.
said?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the application.
Second.
Okay, Kathy, second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this building system grant application? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy.
Aye.
Aye. Hamrick.
Aye.
Maloney.
Aye.
Reeser.
Aye.
Schmisher.
Aye.
Stein.
Aye.
Tracy.
Emily?
She's still moving.
She may not heard.
You're up, Emily.
Tracy.
Okay.
I'm
Okay,
having
got a thumbs up.
microphone trouble. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
I vote aye.
Okay, thank you. Troutman,
Aye.
Worthington,
Aye.
Chairman Payne.
Aye, thank you very much. Move on to the second grant application.
The second one is 111 South Fifth Street. This is a commercial building on the corner of Fifth and US 50. It's somewhat, honestly, unless you're walking by it, sometimes you don't even realize it's there, but there's a number of businesses in there. They are looking for roof replacement in this case. It was an interesting one because when all of these go through an internal review, and this one came back with some questions about whether we should be supporting for a roof or not. The question was whether the roof is being paid for by insurance. So in this case, we did a little additional review to find out whether or not there was insurance involved with this. And in this case, there is not, because it's not a roof that's being replaced because of damage. It's just old, aged, leaking, and needs to be replaced. So with that little bit of information, it was approved from everybody unanimously in the city and in the review committee. So this one is a $25,000 request. This is the building right here. The total cost, almost $84,000 to replace the roof on that, which honestly struck me as exorbitant, but roofs are really expensive for some reason in this community. So total eligibility, $25,000, and this does max out the grant possibilities at 25 grand. So requesting approval for an award of $25,000. Kim Martin is here. She represents the owner for this property. She's with Proficient Property Management. She's here to answer any questions you may have about this project.
Okay, any questions? Amy?
Thanks. I noticed in the application that the owner is interested in having additional information regarding the possibility of having the property designated as a historic structure. Is that something that's been referred to the Historic Preservation Commission?
Yes. Historic preservation is part of the review committee. So they had a chance to look at it, and Lisa has reviewed it.
But you're asking about designation?
Yes, the application states that the owner would like additional information on having the property potentially designated as a historic structure.
And Lisa would typically reach out in those cases.
We can follow up with
But
Lisa to
we'll
see if
follow
she's
up.
That'd
had
be
a
great.
chance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions, comments? Rick, you had mentioned it's $34,000 left. Is this $25,000?
My calculation is missing the first one that we awarded, so we're looking at less than 34,000 left. It's going to be closer to 8.
Okay. That's taking this grant application
Yes.
off
yeah.
of that.
Yeah, we had one, we awarded one prior
Okay.
before the application period ended, and I missed that on my spreadsheet.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion for
Mr.
this.
Chair,
Okay.
I move that we authorize the executive director to sign a building systems grant application agreement with Proficient Property Management Services for building system improvements to 111 South Fifth Street in the amount of $25,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this matter? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy,
Aye.
Hamrick,
Aye.
Maloney,
Aye.
Reeser,
Aye.
Schmisher,
Aye.
Stein,
Aye.
Tracy. Tracy.
Still not working. Aye.
Okay.
Got
Aye.
it.
Worthington,
Aye.
Chairman Payne.
Aye. Thank you very much.
I didn't get to vote. But
You have to
this
let
is
him
the one
vote.
time I get to vote. And I got it. That's the old Litz Auto Building in my youth. Aye.
Okay. Now we got him in there. Okay.
You
Awesome.
moved me way down here. I don't know what to do, and I don't even get a vote.
There's one chance to vote. He wants his moment in the sun. Okay, Ryan, do you have anything else?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. With no further business coming before this board, we are adjourned.